Welcome, scholars, to my series where I play through games of culture and rate them based on these following categories. Overall gameplay, would it be worth playing without the material it contains? The degeneracy level from plain vanilla to even God himself couldn't save it. The goon material quality itself, out of tissues used, and of course the most important one of games in this category, the story itself, from picture book to absolute peak fiction. Today's entry to the Degen Chronicles V Lovers. I've heard some pretty good things about this one, and hopefully it's as good as people say. Anyways, let's get it started. So as usual with these games, it starts us off with a visual novel portion with some background information about our MC. He was down in the dumps before his uncle introduced him to his favorite VTubing idol, and how said idol brought him out of despair and gave him the strength to stop his neat lifestyle and finally get a job at his uncle's VTuber agency, which coincidentally his idol also works at. After using his fantasy to goon to his VTubing angel, he heads to his job where he finally gets to meet with his idol in person, and it turns out to be his uncle behind the monitor. That's right, this man, and by extension we, just gooned to his uncle putting on a girly voice behind a screen. Anyways, after getting over the initial despair, we're now introduced to the three heroines of the game, who we have to manage and help achieve their respective dreams in the VTuber world. The beautiful and mature Sanae, who was forced to follow her parents' orders and gave up on her dreams of being an idol at a young age. The energetic and spunky Junko, who wants to become huge in order to make money to leave her life of poverty and make her mom stop sleeping around for money. The introverted and gloomy Yui, who actually has the most normal goal of the three, to hit 1 million subscribers. Normally there's a character or two I don't like or care for, but all three of them had such great designs and backstories that as I learned more about them throughout the game, I couldn't help genuinely rooting for each of them and trying my best to help them achieve their goals. And honestly, as their manager, I can't really say which one of them I like the most, you know? Anyways, now that we have the summary out of the way, time for the actual game itself. We start out at the beginning of the year and have the rest of the year to help the girls achieve their dreams, with deadlines here and there for them to be at a certain number of subscribers or else they leave the agency. We start with phase 1, where we can take an Uber to each girl's house and have a talk with them to raise affection levels, give them gifts to raise their various stats in singing, chatting, or planning, and finally, the most important one, planning out their schedule for the week, which will be the core of the game itself. During the planning, we can decide how each girl spends her time during 3 phases of each day of the week. We can have them do a live stream in 4 different categories: chatting, gaming, projects, or singing, or we can have them do self-training that raises the stat level of whatever you made them train in. Once we're done with the planning, we're now put into the week and given stamina where up to 7 times during that week, we can choose to join one of the girls' live stream and give them advice on what to say during controversial moments. What I really liked about these was, depending on what letter the stat is at, the stream will change, ranging from terrible at the lowest to a great one at the higher ranks. Oh no! Oh no! Remember, you guys laugh, but you remember. You guys better remember when she becomes great. Oh my god, she's getting better. She's getting better. Okay, review process archivist here. Kinda off topic, but I honestly have no idea why I sounded like I was crying during that. But anyways, another option we have during the week is, honestly, my favorite of the bunch. And it's the ability to join them during their training sessions, where we play a minigame that changes depending on what topic we had them train in and increase their stat bonus gained. And with that, we now have the core gameplay out of the way. We can now talk about the sub-objectives, raising the affection level of each heroine. Throughout the game, other than getting a large following for each heroine, we can also raise their affection levels to certain points using the before mentioned stream watching or dating or spending the night with them. Reaching each point gives us a small glimpse into their lives and unlocks HCGs that are either heartwarming or just downright heartbreaking. She's married? No! 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 With each glimpse shown to us, we're slowly shown what truly drives each of them towards their dreams. I honestly really liked how they did this, because at first I didn't care much for their dreams and was just completing objectives for the sake of the game. As I learned more about them, I genuinely started to actually care about helping them reach their dreams. And the feelings of accomplishment we get when they achieve their dreams feels all the more sweeter. Okay, now that concludes V Lovers. With that out of the way, we can now move on to the review itself. Overall gameplay. Would I play this game without the material it contains? Yes I would. The game itself without the HCG would work great as an idle manager game, because the scheduling and getting each girl to specific stats does require some thought, and after a little bit makes us really do want to help them achieve their goals. And as I mentioned before during the explanation portion, I absolutely loved the little minigames we could play during the training sections. The degeneracy level. Vanilla, with a little hint of spice. Just simply because there is a little bit of NTR depending on how you define it, because one of the characters is in a married, albeit unhappy relationship after all. But if you're okay with stealing another man's woman, it's okay, he was cheating anyways. This game is pretty vanilla, with nothing too crazy in the scenes. The goon quality. 8 out of 10 tissues used. The HCGs are pretty well done, with a decent amount of them unlocked throughout the game, and animated scenes will always be a plus in my book. It also helps that all 3 heroines are pretty, well designed, with different scenarios that match their characters that should check some of your boxes. So if you want a game to primarily goon to, this is a great contender. And for the most important rating, the story. I would honestly put this as high-level fanfiction. While pretty simple, its writing is definitely a step above other games in this category, as the backstories and personalities of the characters, while a bit cliche, are written pretty well and gave me enough incentive to want to know more about them and see what happens at the end. And gives us a nice feeling of satisfaction for reaching it. Finally, the actual game rating itself. An 8.5 out of 10. This is for sure one of the better games of culture at its price point of $10 that I've played, and can absolutely see why so many people had high praise for this. And on the off chance someone would ask me for a recommendation for games in this category, I would say this would be one of my top recommendations. The characters really had some kind of charm to them I can't put my finger on, and you can really tell that developers put a lot of effort into this game, which makes me look forward to their next entry. That now concludes my second entry to the Degen Chronicles. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time. But seriously, please give me recommendation for games. All I've been doing are vanilla. I need some variety.